John Bolton, the former national security advisor to President Donald Trump between 2018 and 19. Appreciate your joining us here, Mr. Bolton. Donald Trump is making the headlines in India for the manner in which he virtually arrogated for himself, Mr. Bolton, credit for that ceasefire between India and Pakistan. How should we in India understand Donald Trump, particularly in the context of his involvement in the subcontinent?
Well, I think this is typical Donald Trump. In other words, this is the way he behaves with respect to pretty much everybody. He wants to be the center of attention. He thinks he should be the center of attention. As far as I can tell, being an outside observer, I think Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio were making calls and hoped to bring about a peaceful resolution of the dispute between India and Pakistan. So I'm sure there were a lot of other foreign leaders trying to do the same. So everybody gets a little credit. Most credit goes to India and Pakistan for doing it themselves. But the fact that Trump didn't wait for statements from New Delhi or Rawalpindi shouldn't be surprising. He wanted to shape the story, and that's what he did. So, you know, as they say in The Godfather, nothing personal, but typical Trump.
You're saying typical Trump, but what's interesting, Mr. Bolton, you were NSA when Balakot happened in 2019. India did their airstrikes then on Pakistan in the aftermath of Pulwama. At that time, Donald Trump was not so directly involved in the action. He wasn't the one bringing the two countries directly together. Now in 2025, he's trying to take credit. What's the difference, you think, between 2019 and 2025, Mr. Bolton?
Well, I remember that night in 2019 very well. In fact, we were in Hanoi getting ready for President Trump's meeting with Kim Jong-un, the second meeting with North Korea's leader between the two of them, when I was informed in a call by then Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, really Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Joe Dunford, that things were heating up between India and Pakistan. Mike Pompeo and I were both in Hanoi in preparation for the meeting with Kim Jong-un the next day, and we were on the phone with a number of people, including Ajit Doval, Prime Minister Modi's national security advisor, and officials in Pakistan, as were our colleagues back in Washington at the Defense Department. And that situation calmed down fairly quickly. I think it's safe to say we were up late in the night in Hanoi, and we didn't wake President Trump up. We told him about it the next morning. So that could explain the difference between 2019 and 2025.
So was there therefore in 2025, you believe, Mr. Bolton, a real fear of an escalating India-Pakistan conflict, including the fear that two nuclear neighbors could be raising the stakes immeasurably? Was that the reason you believe Donald Trump and his team this time were far more proactive?
Well, it's conceivable. I mean, the exchange of military action did go further than in 2019. Whether it was really about to go to a much higher level remains unclear. I do think that the government of Pakistan indicated that the breakthrough came when their top military official called his Indian counterpart and said, let's arrange a ceasefire here. So it really took place not through international diplomatic efforts so much as a direct contact between the two militaries.
Now, Mr. Bolton, you've always said India has the right to self-defense, and this is recognized by the United States, that if India chooses to strike at terror bases in Pakistan, India will get support from large sections of Washington. Am I right in that analysis? You believe India has a right to self-defense against terror?
Yes, I think that's well within anybody's definition of the right to self-defense.
Let me, come to another issue. How should the world look at the Pakistan-China nexus? You see, many are worried that this is a nexus building up. We've had the Chinese and the fear is that China is the one which is propping up, goading Pakistan, arming it militarily. What should be done? Do you believe that China is a threat to stability in this part of the world, Mr. Bolton?
I don't think there's any question about it. In fact, I think the danger globally is the building China-Russia axis, like the Sino-Soviet alliance of the Cold War, except this time China's in charge. And I think it's a threat because of Chinese hegemonic aspirations all along its Indo-Pacific periphery. Certainly, I think it's a threat to the U.S. and its interest in the region. It's particularly a threat to India, which has, as you well know, a long and contested land border with China, and with Pakistan, an opportunity to China to outflank India on the west. So I think we should be looking at a variety of things. I think keeping the Asian Security Quad, Japan, India, Australia, and the U.S. very active is a good place to start. I think there are a number of other things we should be doing bilaterally. And I've said many times before this attack that I think the U.S.-Indian bilateral relationship is, from our perspective, the most important one for the rest of this century. So we need there's a lot of work to do here.
You're saying the Indo-US relationship is one of the most important. I want to rewind to where we started off with Donald Trump and compare him to Donald Trump. Donald Trump when you were NSA and now Donald Trump 2.0. Are we seeing Donald Trump wanting to play a more active role in settling conflicts across the world? One day he's speaking to the Russian president and the Ukrainian president. He's just made a major trip to the Middle East. Is Donald Trump 2.0 different in the way he wants to settle these conflicts compared to what he was doing in his first term?
Well, I think he wants a Nobel Peace Prize, whether for solving the Ukraine war, solving the war in the Middle East, solving tensions between India and Pakistan. I mean, whatever it takes. So be careful what you want if he decides to get involved in it. I think it is more an example of Donald Trump doesn't follow an overall national security strategy. It's what attracts his attention at any given time. And I think you can expect that very transactional approach to foreign affairs that he's just demonstrated during the Middle East trip to apply in the case of the bilateral India-U.S. relationship as well. I wish it were more on broader strategic concepts, but I think that's unlikely for the remainder of Trump's term.
John Bolton there for joining me. Appreciate your joining me. You can watch that full interview on our India Today global site, the entire detailed interview with John Bolton. Okay.